right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, home security cameras. Police are increasingly asking for the footage to solve crimes. But can they access it without your permission?
Rain chances appear limited for the next several days. Could we have a dry Memorial Day weekend? And will it feel like the kickoff to the summer season?
But first tonight, a neighborhood store becomes a crime scene twice.
We can't even be safe just walking up the street.
Police searching for the shooters that murdered 2 people and left 3 others hurt.
Those shootings happened just days apart. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. Both took place in the parking lot of Uptown Market and Liquor in Glasgow Village. New tonight, our Robert Townsend is learning more about the victims and where this investigation stands. Now, Robert.
Mike and Ann, at this hour, police tell us they are still looking for the shooters in both homicide cases. Right now, they don't know if the crimes are connected. The violence has definitely put people in that neighborhood on edge. They're concerned about their safety. For years, many people in this Glasgow Village neighborhood have relied on Uptown Market and Liquor Store for necessities. Some walk, others, like Mike Willis, drive.
Yeah, like I said, I go to that store every day. If that store wasn't right there, I would have to drive all the way over to 270 to go get what I need.
But now,
it's terrible.
2 deadly shootings in the North County store's parking lot in just a few days have sparked fear in some shoppers.
We can't even come up here just to get something from the corner store without somebody shooting.
It's mad, it's crazy, it's a sad thing.
Witnesses told police shortly after 9 last Monday, people in 2 cars rode by, fired multiple shots, and sped off. 34-year-old Cassandra Cole died at a hospital. The Glasgow Village mom had 2 sons, just 9 and 16 years old. Police say a man and another woman suffered gunshot wounds.
She was a real sweet girl. She was good, friendly, she talked to everybody.
Mike Willis knew Cole.
I'm hurt, you know. Every day when I go to that store, I gotta go there and I'm not gonna see her anymore.
Police say 3 days later, more gunshots rang out around 10:30 Thursday night outside the business. They say someone walked up, shot and killed 43-year-old Antoine Young and wounded a woman. The manager says Young and Cole were both regular customers at the family-owned store that's been here for more than 15 years.
I'm ready to move. I am ready to take my kids and go.
Now, records show to date there have been at least 21 deadly shootings in St. Louis County. Investigators ask anyone with any information about those Glasgow Village crimes to call St. Louis County Police or Crime Stoppers.
We are following breaking news right now out of North St. Louis County. Here's a live picture from the scene. This is where a section of New Halls Ferry Road is closed because of a serious crash. Here's a live look at the scene. This is just north of 270 and Dunn Road. Several emergency response vehicles on the scene. We are working to get more information from police about what exactly happened here, and we'll continue to update this breaking news here and then also on the 5 on Your Side app.
Tonight, multiple people are recovering after a 4-car crash in Bonita Park. This happened just after 7 on Page. Police say a car was trying to make a left turn when it was rear-ended, pushing it into oncoming traffic. Some of the injuries we're told are serious, but not life-threatening. Tonight, the Major Case Squad is investigating a shooting that left 1 man dead and injured a woman and a 13-year-old. It happened just after 1:30 this morning inside a home on Country Acres Drive in St. Peters. Police say 57-year-old Darren Goshen was shot and killed. A source tells 5 on Your Side his wife and daughter were also shot. Neighbors say this is rare for the area, and they are trying to wrap their heads around what happened.
Anytime a child is involved, you know, there's an innocence there that's lost. It's shocking when something like that does happen and it's somebody that you recognize or know.
Police are asking anyone with information to call the St. Peters Police Department or Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous. They're also asking neighbors who live around the area for any ring camera footage or if they saw anything that could be useful to the investigation.
Tonight, St. Louis police are investigating several crimes happening just steps away from Busch Stadium during a Cardinals game. Saturday night, someone was carjacked nearby at 4th and Walnut. During yesterday's game, people broke into dozens of cars in parking lots on South Broadway and Poplar Street, Clark Avenue, and 4th Street. Today, we talked to the Cardinals president about beefing up security for games.
Our secondary police tend to during the game, they'll do things in the stadium and stuff, and we've talked about maybe having them fan out a little bit more into the parking lots so that the break-ins wouldn't occur. So that's one of the strategies we've talked about just recently, and I think you'll see that happening in the short term.
So far, police have not said if they made any arrests. Less than a week after Kim Gardner left the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's office, one mother of a murder victim says she's already seeing a big difference. Nakia Danforth says she had been kept in the dark by Gardner's office about her son Isaiah's murder case. She says in the past 3 days, she's had the most communication she's had all year. The murder trial for Danforth's accused killer Quentin Roberts was set to begin this morning. But with all the changes in the office, the judge continued that case for 2 weeks.
Gave us a lot of hope about the case. Even the next 2 weeks, I'm definitely going to stay prayerful. And as long as I keep my son as my angel, I know that things are going to look up.
Right now, the office is under interim leadership. Gabe Gore will take over as circuit attorney next week. The St. Louis Holocaust Museum is adding a new exhibit at a time where anti-Semitism is rising.
The Anti-Defamation League says a record-breaking 30 anti-Semitic incidents were reported in Missouri in the last year. 20 of those took place in St. Louis. And those incidents have been rising rapidly over the last 4 years. New tonight, our Elise Schoenig shows us how the museum hopes to make an impact.
The Impact Lab is an interactive exhibit that educates and empowers, and it all circles back to this idea of how to be an active ally. Now, the Impact Lab is open now for private group reservations, but it'll be open to everybody later this summer.
Our actions make an impact. It's why the St. Louis Holocaust Museum created a space to make this possible.
We ask people to stand up and speak out against hate, but we rarely give them a place to explore that.
Director of Education Helen Turner says the Impact Lab uses the Holocaust as a case study.
If we identify the pattern, then we can identify where we need to intervene.
The lab is a conversation-based, interactive experience. It educates.
So some of these messages say things like, learn about yourself and the actions you can take.
Empowers.
These are folks who have stood up and spoken out in all different moments in history.
And elicits a brighter future from examples of a darker past.
He is actually a local Bosnian genocide survivor.
Rising anti-Semitism makes the need for this space bigger.
The premise of the Impact Lab is to look at patterns, both in external behavior, what societies do, what groups of people do, and also our own patterns.
Turner says this space talks about other moments in history too.
How do we respond when we see prejudice, hatred, racism, anti-Semitism, etc.
Conversations about our past,
about the structures that are in place that sometimes keep us divided, or the things we might think about other groups,
can impact our future.
And how do we challenge that and ultimately change that?
In St. Louis, Elise Schoenig, 5 on your side.
As Elise mentioned, the Impact Lab is now taking private bookings. It will open to the general public this summer.
A live look at the U.S. Capitol. There is still no deal between Republicans and Democrats on raising the debt ceiling. But after a weekend of start and stop talks, there appears to be some hope. Just hours ago, President Biden met with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The speaker called the meeting productive. The president said he's optimistic an agreement can be reached before the federal government runs out of cash to pay its bills. If no agreement is reached and the U.S. defaults, the federal government could start running out of money. This means everyday Americans may not receive things like Social Security benefits. Tonight, Casey Decker from our Verify team looks into whether members of Congress will still receive their paychecks.
The U.S. continues to inch closer to hitting the debt ceiling and running out of money to pay the bills Congress already approved. If that happens, several Verify viewers wanted to know, will members of Congress still receive their paychecks? Let's verify. Our sources are the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, the Bipartisan Policy Center, and testimony by then Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. A default will happen if Congress fails to raise the debt limit, an event that has no precedent in American history. Failing to raise the limit would mean the Treasury could no longer borrow money and would only be able to pay bills with whatever cash it has on hand. The coffers won't stay entirely empty. Revenue, like taxes, will continue to come in. But that revenue will only be enough to cover some of the bills, not all of them. So, which bills get paid? No one knows. Here's why. First, there is no legal framework or historical precedent that allows the Treasury to pick which bills to pay. They're all due when they're due. In theory, the legal issue could be addressed if Congress passed a new law telling Treasury which bills to prioritize. Such laws have been proposed in the past. And 2 representatives just proposed a bill to specifically require the Treasury not pay members of Congress if we default. But those laws could be impossible to implement. Here's what then Treasury Secretary Jack Lew told the Senate Finance Committee in 2013 during a previous debate over the debt ceiling.
We write roughly 80 million checks a month. The systems are automated to pay because for 224 years, the policy of Congress and every president has been we pay our bills. You cannot go into those systems and easily make them pay some things and not other things. They weren't designed that way because it was never the policy of this government to be in the position that we would have to be in if we couldn't pay all our bills.
That means if we default, who gets paid may simply be up to chance. Which revenues happen to enter which accounts at which times could determine which automated payments actually go through. So, will Congress be paid in the event of a default? The answer is inconclusive. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
What can we verify for you? Send an email, verify@ksdk.com.
Tonight, hundreds of motorcycle riders from across the country are spending the night in Wentzville. They're taking part in the annual Run for the Wall ride. They started in California, and they're making their way to Washington, D.C. This, of course, honors the memory of all veterans and prisoners of war and missing in action.
They ride to the wall to remember the guys that didn't come home. We can't forget our brothers we left behind.
Tomorrow morning, the group will be at Wentzville's Vietnam Veterans Memorial for a ceremony before continuing their trip. They'll arrive in Washington, D.C. in time for the Memorial Day weekend.
Remembering Uvalde 1 year later.
We don't have any revealing answers or anything like that. I wish we did, but we don't.
Tonight, the community's plan to honor 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers gunned down in their classroom. Doorbell cameras are there for your security. Tonight, we're looking into your rights if police come knocking for your video.
This resort-like weather continues across our area. There are a few changes coming our way by the end of the week, but that's not really a bad thing.
A judge has entered not guilty pleas on behalf of the man charged in the killings of 4 University of Idaho students. Brian Coburger stood silent in the courtroom today when it was time to enter his plea, but did say he understood the charges against him. Today's plea comes just days after Coburger was indicted by a grand jury. Investigators say there was enough evidence linking Coburger to the murders last November.
We know from the initial affidavits that there is cell phone data, there is DNA evidence, so that type of evidence is very difficult to defend against.
Prosecutors have 60 days to announce if they will seek the death penalty. The trial will be held in October.
Wednesday marks 1 year since a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers inside a 4th grade classroom in Uvalde, Texas. The district canceled classes for the rest of the week out of respect and safety. City leaders are asking for privacy and peace during this time, and they're encouraging others to join them for a candlelit vigil Wednesday night. For the victims' parents, the loss is unimaginable.
There's no moving forward without our loved ones. For the community, I guess it's their attempt to move forward while still remembering our loved ones. And I hope that they do right by us.
Today, the mayor of Uvalde said police still don't have all the answers from that day, but they're focusing on the families at this time.
As video doorbells and home security cameras grow in popularity, police departments are increasingly asking for homeowners' videos. But can they get them without your permission? Tonight, Consumer Reports breaks down the ways law enforcement can access your videos.
Whether you're on the lookout for porch pirates, wild animals, or car thieves, a video doorbell or security camera can come in handy. Law enforcement agencies are taking notice.
The Ring app has a neighborhood watch style social network called Neighbors. Law enforcement uses that network in order to request videos from users.
Ring now has more than 2,500 partnerships with local law enforcement agencies. But the program has come under fire by some social justice and digital rights groups who feel it unfairly targets communities of color. So if the police ask you for your video, do you have to give it to them? Consumer Reports says legally, no.
If police ask for your footage, you can choose to share it with them, or you can simply ignore the request.
If you don't share the video, Ring says it won't give law enforcement access to your cameras, your videos, or any of your personal information. And police never have access to a live feed of your Ring cameras. But police can still get the video without your consent.
If your footage is stored in the cloud on manufacturers' servers, police can get it in two ways.
First, through a search warrant or a subpoena, or they can cite a federal law that allows manufacturers to share footage in a potentially life-threatening emergency. If the footage is stored locally on your camera, police may have to come to you directly to request it or serve a warrant.
If you have a Ring camera, you can opt out of receiving requests for your footage from law enforcement. In the Ring app's Control Center settings, scroll down to Public Safety and toggle off Request for Assistance email notifications.
The unofficial start to summer, just days away. Tonight, the TSA is gearing up for a busy travel season. Today, the agency announced some changes to make things easier for air passengers. It includes allowing all minors to use TSA PreCheck if their parent or guardian is in the program.
You'll see in our checkpoints around the country that thanks to the support of the President and the Congress, we are deploying new technologies across all of our screening checkpoints. We are trying to make our screening process as frictionless as it possibly can be.
It was also announced today TSA workers will receive a significant pay raise. Always good to get good news about airlines and travel.
Yes.
It's usually not that way, right?
No, and this is a big travel week. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the weather first forecast. Memorial Day weekend, and it's going to be kind of a quiet week, isn't it?
And a lot of schools, we're starting to get to that last day of class, That's big. All right. Something else that's big. Remember the Whitaker Music Festival on Wednesday nights that runs during the summer? That kicks off next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday over at the Missouri Botanical Garden. And it's nice and quiet there tonight. Quiet out here in St. Charles as well as we look out towards Zumbel with all that road construction there along 70. That interchange, of course, during the rush hour periods always gets a little dicey. Here we go with the temperatures. They're dropping pretty quickly now. Outlying areas are in the 60s. We're still around 70 in St. Louis proper, but we're going to see those temperatures continue to drop off through the evening and overnight hours under a mainly clear sky. The active weather, it's either off to our southeast or well back to our west. So it looks like we still have a couple of pretty quiet days on the way. 70 degrees right now. The dew point's 47, which means once again, some of our outlying areas will see those temperatures dropping back into the upper 40s. Had a high today of 81 degrees. Overnight tonight, most of us are right around 50 to 55. In town, about 57 degrees. Winds are on the light side. It's a pleasant night once again. Looks like it's a great day tomorrow. We'll see a good deal of sunshine out the door early on Tuesday. Remember that weather system's in the southeast. It's actually trying to nudge towards the west, and what's out to our west isn't having a whole lot of success making it to the east. So the combination means that we may see a pop-up shower or a rumble of thunder south and southwest of St. Louis as we head into tomorrow afternoon. The odds of that happening, though, pretty doggone slim. So most of us, while we could use some rain, most of us are not going to see it. Not only tomorrow, but as we head into Wednesday, we'll be tracking a backdoor front, which will be coming at us from the northeast. Again, the air for this time of year is quite dry across the bi-state area, so we're hard-pressed to get much more than an isolated shower to pop up. Any widespread beneficial rains that would work for your garden or your lawn, not looking so helpful anytime soon. We get into Memorial Day weekend. Of course, this is the weekend traditionally that kicks off the summer season. Rain chances remain quite low, which is great for recreation. Temperatures will be back into the low 80s for highs on Saturday, 85 on Sunday, 88 for Monday, Memorial Day. If you're outside this weekend, maybe camping or heading to a cabin, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, we may be looking at some cool temperatures in the outlying areas once again. It'll be less humid, even more so than it is now for Thursday and Friday. That means those cool nights return. And then as we head into next week, we finally start to see those temperatures getting closer to 90 degrees, and it'll be a little more humid. But that summertime heat and humidity we all know and love in St. Louis, it doesn't look like that's the batch that's coming next week. May have to wait a little later into June.
We all know and love it.
It'll be coming. We know that.
Thank you, Scott. Frank, what do you got?
The Cardinals and Reds in the thriller NBA and NHL conference finals.
and we pay tribute to the great Rick Hummel.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
If you're a Cardinal fan, you have to be excited about winning 4 series in a row. But this starting pitching is rough. They're ranked 24th in baseball with an earned run average of about 5. You can't score 10 runs every night, and they didn't in Cincinnati tonight. Jordan Montgomery, 4 innings, 4 runs, first inning. This is Matt McClain. He'll scorch one to left. Jonathan India will score, and the Reds led it 2-0. But in the second, that man again, Paul DeYoung, another 3-run homer, his 8th Tater of the season, the most homers by a shortstop in baseball. In the 8th, Nolan Gorman doubles first, and DeYoung doubles here. We are tied at 5. The Cardinals' first 4 hitters were 0 for 17 with 7 strikeouts. And in the 10th, Nick Senzel with the sac fly. Spencer Steer will score the game winner. Reds win it 6-5. The Panthers and Hurricanes in a Game 3. The St. Louis kid Matthew Tkachuk with the assist to Sam Reinhart for the shot and the goal. Florida wins it 1-0. They lead the series 3-0. Game 4. Lakers hosting the Nuggets. We're tied in the final minute. That's Nikola Jokic with a bucket. He had 30 points and a triple-double. LeBron at the end could not convert. Denver going to the finals with a series-sweeping 113-111 win. Tom Brady is going to be an NFL owner. Raiders owner Mark Davis acknowledged that Brady and the Raiders have come to an agreement. He's the 3rd player in history to become an owner. Part-time, Jerry Richardson and George Halas are the others.
Remaining.
Stay up. Get there. Yes.
One of the best stories of the year in golf, Michael Block, the teaching pro, finished 15th at the PGA Championship, winning $288,000. You know that. But did you know he was a golfer at Parkway Central for just 1 year? And then he won the St. Louis Amateur, where afterwards he was approached by a coach from where?
University of Missouri St. Louis came up to me and goes, hey, we'll give you a scholarship, come play for us. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went and did that, played college golf. And after that, I mean, I didn't do anything. I opened up a golf course with these guys, right?
Finally tonight, we lost a legendary sports figure. Rick Hummel passed away early Saturday morning. And although his death is so sad, the way it happened really wasn't. He had just watched the Cardinal game. His scorebook, the one that was always by his side, was on his nightstand. He was laying in his bed right next to his bride, Melissa. They were holding hands and praying. It was a star-studded career. The Hall of Fame capped it off. The press box was named after him. There were 42 consecutive All-Star games and 50 years overall at the Post-Dispatch, with remarkable reporting of Cardinal baseball. But all that is secondary. There are plenty of good writers out there. What separated this man was his humility. The commish was a gentle soul who didn't have an ounce of arrogance in him. There was never a player or manager who had a problem with Rick. For some reason, he would always address me and others with the word sir. I couldn't carry his notebook. The amazing thing is, the media can be an ego-driven business, and he got to the top of it without an ego. I don't remember many phone numbers nowadays, my wife, my kids, and a few others, and Rick's. I called it 200 times to get his take and his insight. I sure wish I could call him again tonight and tell him thanks. And that'll do it in sports.
He'll be missed. Frank, thanks so much. We'll be right back.
You still have time to donate to the Folds of Honor campaign from now until May 30th. You can round up at the register or use Scan to Give coupons at any area Schnucks store. The money goes towards scholarships for families of fallen or wounded service members and first responders. 5 on Your Side is a proud sponsor of the campaign.
Krispy Kreme is offering something special for the class of 2023. On Wednesday, graduates can get a dozen glazed donuts for free. All you have to do is wear your graduation cap or gown to be eligible.
Get ready for another fun summer season at the Muni. Single show tickets are now on sale to celebrate the Muni through a party at the box office. The 105th season kicks off June 12th with Beautiful, the Carole King musical.
There's a new restaurant at Ballpark Village. Katie's Pizza and Pasta Osteria opened its doors today with a pasta cutting. The restaurant serves brunch, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. This is the restaurant's third and largest location.
And Scott has a final check of the weather.
Well, you know, if you're coming downtown later this week, pasta's always a good thing for a run, right? You'll want to load up on those carbs. So Wednesday night you can do that because you've got the Biz Dash 5K coming up on Thursday. City Park, it's going to be rocking downtown with temperatures in the 70s by Thursday for highs. As runners and walkers take to that 5K for the track, they're going to see temperatures in the low to mid 70s.
And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Please start your day with Today in St. Louis at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.